Today we are driving the maybe most emotional current Honda model. This is the Honda Prelude, as it is in the correct French pronunciation. This one here with a stunning exterior look. We take a look at the interior and of course solve the questions of how sporty is it, how dynamic is it, with a dynamic track here behind us, but also German Autobahn. Is it not only quick, is it also fast, and is it actually quick enough? Because there was some discussion also about the power, the performance of this model. We're going to find out everything for you here now with Thomas and Autogefuehl의 in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the front, with a very sensual, dynamic look. Definitely daytime running light in the top, LED lamps with adaptive high beam, they say. This one here in the gray color today. We last time had the stunning blue color as well, so we picked another one here today, but they have actually nice colors and a very sensual side profile here also with a length of 4 meters 52, 178 inches. I think just from the exterior looks really stunning. I love it. Do you as well? 19-inch wheels. This case then here high gloss black and the Brembo performance brakes here in these nice blue brake calipers as a contrast. And of course it's very stretched roof line right there. In the rear, the light strip goes all the way through. Somewhat Porsche 911 look a little bit maybe. One thing that you do notice directly here, this here, that the back part here is all the way in plastic, and this one here, the hatch opens very wide for a good access. Very spectacular also when it's open, so at least it is also somewhat usable then for everyday driving life. Then you have a front-wheel drive concept only, that's it, and an EHEV engine, 2-liter, 4-cylinder. What does that mean actually? So they use this special Honda hybrid concept. There we go. Let's take a look under the hood. And they also have the suspension from the Civic Type R with adaptive dampers. For example, that it always remains optimum ground contact, and in the sport mode it then goes stiffer so that they can still deliver all the power to the ground. The acceleration figure here is 8.2 seconds, and then of course some say that's not enough. However, you already have 300 Newton meters of torque very early because you have this electric motor as well. And let's see how that one plays out on the track. So this is the combustion engine, as I said, 2-liter 4-cylinder. And then you also have an electric motor. That's why you have this very spontaneous performance boost directly when you hit the throttle. And basically there are 3 driving modes of this Honda hybrid system, and here you also get a 4th driving mode. So the first driving mode would be slow rolling in the city, you don't need much performance, goes all electric just from that battery and the electric motor. Then the second driving mode would be maximum performance, everything ideal for performance. The engine runs as the generator, but you drive the wheels with the electric motor because that's then the quickest way, the most efficient and also best performance way to do it. Third mode would be constant speed on the motorway between like 70 and 120 kilometers an hour. So around 50-60 miles per hour. Constant motorway without much acceleration. Then the combustion engine can also directly engage the front wheels and just be on the combustion engine for optimum usage, for efficiency for the combustion engine, and then you don't use the electric motor. And now the 4th mode also comes into play when you have the S Plus shifting mode. There's a button on the inside that emulates the shifting, and we're going to explain that to you very soon also when we drive it. Just briefly in front of that, you know, because it's very interesting. So then the engine will be on. It will basically rev higher when you put the throttle a little bit more, but you will still drive only with the electric motor because that's the most performant way to do it. And then you will also have, let's say, there it always says like, here I am. Exactly this is gonna happen then. And then you will also have that it shortly basically stops the acceleration from the electric motor in the time you are shifting, that you have like this, you know, really like this effect. If this is going to work very well, we'll soon find out. And let's see if the engine then also answers to us in this shifting process. But first of all, now more to the interior. By the way, as for the horsepower figure, it says 184 horsepower in Europe, 200 horsepower in the States. However, it is the same engine and also has the same horsepower output. Honda explains it that way, that the marketing in the US takes the power where it's actually out of the engine directly or out of the engine system, and in Europe is the more realistic figure where the power which is applied to the wheels, which is a little bit less than. Very interesting, isn't it? Now to the doors. Then here you have the key fob, and when you open the door, then this door handle comes towards you, flush door integration. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of these, prefer normal door handles. And then let's see about the door closing sound. Yeah, the problem is that this one then kind of like, wobbles around when you close it. The door closing sound itself is actually fine. And then inside of the doors first, very wide doors of course for this coupe. This is also soft touch material, leatherette. Also then here for the elbow, should be soft enough. Classic controls here for the side mirrors and so on. Hardback here at the lower inside of the doors. Then you have a Prelude entry badge. And here this is the black interior with blue contour stitching. Last time we also had the blue and white interior, also with blue contour stitching. You can pick both. And the steering wheel, what is nice here? Real buttons with clicking sounds for the volume. Jog wheel as well. Jog wheel on the right side here. It feels really nice. Blue contour stitching on the inside. And also here these air vents, they have this racing style mesh, for example. The seats always these sport seats, and again either in black or in white, you can choose that. And the material on the inside is sadly animal skin only, and there's no other alternative to that. And you do have to deliver that nowadays. And also the quality is really not that good. Look at here, when you press it in, it's already folding and so on, and it looks a little bit greasy. Whereas, for example, here, the outside here and also the head restraint is from leatherette, and this looks way better when you touch and feel it. So they probably should have made it all the way in leatherette then, or also maybe offer a performance microfiber option or something like that we know from past Civic Type R models. And then here with 189 6x2, the seating position itself is actually not too bad. So some sporty cars are not that comfortable, but here it's actually quite okay. And with 189 6x2 still fits headroom wise, and you can also manual pump that seat here up. And interesting is that the driver's seat is a little bit different to the passenger seat. So I'm going to talk you through that. Steering wheel up and down, in and out, and then the shifting pedals either do the recuperation changes. That's a good feedback for that. Or when you are in this S Plus shifting mode, then they do the simulated shifting, and we'll fill you in with that very soon. Very, very exciting. And then the cockpit here of the Honda Prelude. Here the passenger seat is indeed a little bit different. So the bolstering on the driver's seat is a little bit more pronounced and also a little bit stiffer, whereas it's a little bit more open on the passenger seat that you can easier get in and out, whereas in the driver's seat has more this racing focus, so to speak. Then dashboard, the soft touch, and also here very interesting. It's like well, it's not. Is it? I wouldn't say it's exactly a high floor microfiber. Maybe something in between. I would have made rather a thick microfiber on it, honestly, because this looks a little bit like it is used microfiber. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, right? Yeah. Thank you. And then, but what's actually quite nice here, the Prelude, there's like the stitching on it and the blue contour stitching, and also my favorite feature here, the climate unit. Look at that. Yeah, Audi has put them away. Honda has reintroduced them, and it's so awesome here to use the vent spray. Also illumination around. Then also seat heating has a separate button here on the outside and the inside. Seat cooling is not available, sadly. And then here, USB-C control is also inductive charging, but that one is not cooled, so I would rather than charge it with USB-C then. Then there's a middle console. This here, park, reverse, drive, neutral.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
that's a little bit complicated.
It's a little bit complicated, yeah, but I mean, at least it's a flat integration. Here you switch the driving modes, and this one then is the S Plus here. So for example, suspension is the stiffest, GT is more like balanced, and comfort then the suspension is softest. And above that is the S Plus shifting mode. Interesting the sounds for that. Sounds a little bit like a 90s, like
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man or Nintendo or something. And when you hit this button, then we'll have the shifting emulation, and let's soon see about that. Now driving, first of all, let's do a launch control, so to speak, all automatic mode. Let's see about the best performance, and let's go. Plop. That's 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, 0 to 60 miles an hour, and we are in the sport mode. And the sport mode here, we have a very tiny dynamic track here. Also the suspension is set on a sporty note. We can also soon show you more about the differences here. And this car is about 1.5 tons in weight, just a little bit below that.
That's
and
excellent for my tummy.
yeah, that was what I was pointing out to. It's good for Leah as a passenger princess. Sporty passenger princess.
Yeah,
the car doesn't feel heavy, and it's also not a long car, you know. So there are some competitors like a BMW 4 Series Coupe, for example, but that one is actually longer. And here you feel that's a relatively short car, and so you have a good dynamic effect in the corners. Doesn't push you out of the corners and so on. And the steering is really nice, direct. It's not too progressive actually, so you still steer quite a lot, but you don't have to grab over in corners and so on. Accelerating out is fine. That's also what they meant by the Newton meter is there, you know. Yes, it's not a very powerful engine, but due to the electric boost, there is a quite spontaneous reaction. Yes, it's not like the hyper-performance car, that's clear, but you still have nice dynamic capabilities that it's fun to drive. As for the sound that the engine is producing, it's of course nothing that you would say like, oh, that's awesome or something like that. Don't have to discuss that, definitely. But you do get some nice boost out of the corner. However, if you have a rear-wheel-based coupe with a larger engine or with more horsepower, of course you get somewhat like a nicer boost out of the corner. That's
one
clear.
Guy at the
that's
bus
clear.
Station,
And it's like,
too, yeah.
We'll have some spectators here for our racing. Let's see about the driving modes. So when I'm in the comfort mode, for example, suspension is a little bit softer, and let's see if that one behaves differently in the corner. Do you feel that?
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
like
it's
a
a
more
bit
comfortable
shaky, yeah.
dampening, yeah?
Yeah.
And then GT is somewhat in between. So this is like supposed to be the balance setting, but yeah, the car is leaning a little bit more.
In the corner,
And then in the sport mode again, it's
safer.
not that it's like super stiff or something, but you feel that the wheels are more, I mean, a little more sticking to the ground, you know. So of course the traction is not really changing as for the material or something, but when the suspension is stiffer, you can of course get more power to the ground than as well. And yeah, that's actually quite cool. It is fun to drive it. That's definitely cool. That is the main thing about this vehicle, that it is dynamic in the corners, you know, not the focus of the high speed. So that's cool. Yeah, I mean, front wheel drive, it's of course not, I cannot like circle the car around a little bit, you know. When you're here out of the corner, it's definitely cooler when you have rear wheel drive and can push the rear a little bit more out. That's also clear. Now, next stage, S+. Now I have here an RPM meter on the left side, and let's see about that. So there is still no gear, but I can fake the gear, and it's interesting. And we have that concept so far with electric cars, like with few electric cars as well. And now when I just forget what I was telling you before and think that I'm in the car that can be shifted manually, it really feels like that, right? Like here, shifting down, so to speak. Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, the most thing that you hear, you think like, yeah, that's true. You also see like a third gear, second gear, and also when you shift down, that's actually a lot of fun. And it's not about that this would be better in performance. It's not. It's actually worse in performance, but it can be more fun if you have a small track like this, or if you say like, hey, I just want to go up some like Alpine Pass road or something. Here you can shift up again. Why not? I mean, the emulation is done very well. So you don't have like the that you like feel like a really abrupt shifting, but you get the feeling that it would be somewhat a shifting process, you know. So yeah, why not? You don't have to use it. You can use it, and if you're not in that shifting mode, then the pedals are actually for the recuperation. So I can set like a very strong recuperation that the car, has more regenerative braking by letting off the throttle. And then let's see, like how many is this? And then, okay, it's interesting. This one it goes like in a circle, the different modes, and when I'm pulling this one, it's gone directly again. It's not like linear, so to speak. So I can also just remove it, and then I have a coasting function. That is also possible depending on what you prefer. And now let's see, how does the Honda Prelude fare here in everyday driving life? How much comfort do we get? How is it normal street and also the Autobahn and so on? And I've also set it to the comfort mode to see here. Interesting. So I'm driving like explicitly through these manhole covers here, and even in the comfort mode, you still feel that it does have a sportier setup than, like a normal Civic, for example, because here, once again, they use the suspension from the Civic Type R, and you still feel that in the comfort mode. And you also have the 19-inch wheels there. Another tester there with the blue vehicle. So I would say it has a good GT setup that you can also have fun in everyday driving life without losing too much comfort. And besides the seating material, which I don't agree to, the seat from the comfort itself is also not too bad actually. And so far here in city driving, it's also, let's say, silent enough. Looking forward to how the noise insulation is when we soon get to the motorway. So now on to the German Autobahn, and yeah, it's not a performance car in sense of quickest acceleration. Even like a 420i, for example, the entry-level 4 Series Coupe would be quicker in the acceleration. That's not the main sense, but you saw that it has good capabilities in agile driving. Here now 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour. Some rolling noise from underneath. Wind noise is so far, I'd say, okay. Let's now take it to 130 kilometers an hour. Yeah, that's especially like in these modes here. And when I not push it all the way, it's not that big from the performance. 120 gets a little bit louder. Let's see, 130 kilometers an hour. Yeah, now the wind noise is picking up here. So the side mirror is shaking a little bit, yeah. It's the same for you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so at 130 kilometers an hour, the side mirrors are shaking. Maybe they need to be maybe screwed a little bit tighter or something like that. Yeah, and you see I also have to, it's a nice color here. So it should be Brooklyn Gray, right, for this X3. Yeah, it is. I think if our next vehicle will be a BMW again, then we would definitely take all the GLC. We would definitely try to head for Brooklyn Gray. Yeah, so 130 kilometers, I think, quite loud.
Yeah.
I mean, the windows are quite thick, yes, but then again, maybe other parts, I don't know.
And from underneath a little bit.
From rolling noise from underneath, so you also get somewhat of a raw sports car experience as for the noise level. Suspension-wise, is nice because the waves are being evened out quite well. Potholes does have some problems with that, yeah, definitely. But I think the comfort mode is also a nice setup. Let's see, when I'm in the sport mode here on the motorway, also works maybe but then you feel like when the waves are more like it's definitely a notable difference. So you can play around with that one, or maybe say I want something in between. I want the GT mode. Let's see, in the GT mode, the lane change here now at higher speeds. That's beautiful.
That's nice. Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah, when Leah as a passenger also says like that's nice, that means something here. So the dynamic capabilities of this vehicle, like left, right, and so on, they are really amazing. Oh, the hood is also shaking a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And we did have that recently also in the BMW iX3. I reported that to BMW, and then they said, yes, we are working on that. It's always a matter of, it has to be flexible enough and thin enough for crash safety. Then again, it has to be thick enough that it shouldn't wobble at higher speeds. That's always a tricky thing for the manufacturers, definitely. It's not too much, but you do notice that at higher speeds. So once again, the Autobahn proves, and no matter which discipline you are in, that curving left, right, no matter at which speed, is awesome in this vehicle. Performance, straight, definitely not the focus. and also long-term high-speed motorway driving, maybe also a little bit loud than here when we're at 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour. That's a pleasant speed, like as for road and wind noise, and yeah, it's okay. All good. Yeah, sometimes these systems then go a little bit crazy nowadays when they warn you about stuff happening, you know. So, but here once again, actually going off and on the motorway is definitely the most fun part of it. So a lot of fun in driving it, with of course here and there then its limitations, but yeah, that's why we're here for, to always show you the pros and cons of each system. What an interesting ride here with all these different aspects. As for the fuel economy, well, yeah, it maybe doesn't have like the best performance in, you know, like just acceleration and so on. However, it can be then also very efficient as the hybrid. 5 liters on 1 kilometers is a realistic value. It means like 47 mpg US, 56 mpg UK, and that's of course also something very impressive. As for pricing, starts in the North American market at $42,000 US. They of course have the price without VAT, and then the price including VAT in Germany, for example, here for Europe, is 50,000 euros. But then you're basically done. Yeah, this color is included, but the blue color, for example, would be extra, but that's basically it. So yeah, a BMW 4 Series Coupe also starts around 50,000 euros, but then, yeah, it's already a little bit quicker in the acceleration, even with the 420i or something. But then if you go for some equipment, of course, you do exceed that price, and then the price is, of course, in relation, again, lower than some of the competitors. What do you think about the Honda Prelude? Tell me in the comments, and now check out some other nice coupes.